Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Marcus from Motivate, and we are here for another episode. We are on episode 13. We have made it thus far, and no one's been kicked off the island, and we haven't resorted to cannibalism, which is great, especially in this time of outbreak. Here we go on this episode. We still have the crew, which is Gabriel. Say what's up.
What's up, people?
Corey, say what's up to the people.
Hello.
Patience, say what's up to the people.
What up, though?
Here we go. Let's get started. Today's episode, we're going to be dealing with a topic that I feel is so needed in this atmosphere and temperature and time and space. And you know how people who are churchy say all these different errors. But we're going to talk about creating your own lane.
Okay.
Now, when I'm talking about creating your own lane here is because we have so many people in this time where we seem to have extra time to ourselves wanting to start something new or complete something that was already started. So I want to pinpoint and talk about creating something from scratch or creating something that has never been done before. So I'm going to highlight some areas that everyone in this room has stepped up and done great in. So I'm going to toot your horns for a little bit. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. But starting here, we have Gabriel Del Cid, who has created his own lane in videography, all self-taught. Even though he doesn't like to claim it, he's killer with the videos, he's killers with the graphic, and he holds the fort down for Motivate. He's been making it work. I mean, all the way down from using iPhones to what's the oldest camera you used?
The oldest camera I use or used?
Used.
It was definitely like one of those point and shoot cameras. Like the very first one that I used was just me recording my sister sneeze during church. So, I mean, you know.
What?
The Lord works in mysterious ways is all I'm saying.
If you do not know about the episode about church hurt, I think he caused himself to get kicked out. He was in church recording people sneeze.
Who's my sister?
Help us, Lord. We have my brother Corey Mickey in the room, who is
A bishop.
He
An
is
Apostle.
Yeah,
A disciple from the Lord.
Continue.
We have Corey Mickey in the room, who has created his own lane in music for gospel and also in preaching and launching ministries. I don't know how to do this without taking up the whole episode going down his accomplishments. But
Yeah, we don't make music for the devil dances.
I was trying to see how long you were going to keep a straight face. Oh, this is
I'm not going to be able to make it through this.
Doing great.
Corey is at over 1 million views, way more than 1 million in streams and in YouTube
Thanks for your
views.
support.
It's been holding it down. When was it that you started your lane, my brother? How long has it been?
Woo. Wow. 2016.
Really?
I was doing YouTube stuff prior, but on this level, I dropped my first thing in February 2016.
I don't want to hear about this level. I want to hear about the foundation.
Oh, foundation? Wow. Maybe 2012. My first thing was a Walk It Out, DJ Unk Praise Break. I was very afraid because,
Really?
no lie, it was,
Is it still on YouTube?
I want to hear that.
It is. I'll pull it up when it's over. Oh my God. So I did the DJ I'm Walking Out Praise Break. And so it was very, very weird because it was my first time mixing gospel with, R&B. And I'm just like, I'm afraid because, my parents still swear by ain't no R&B played in this house. So it was very different for me. That was my first one. And after that, people kind of liked it. I just kept doing it and I stopped for a long time. And then I came back.
Sidebar. You know you're legit when you have your own playlist. You know how artists, they have their own playlist on YouTube. Corey Mickey has his own playlist, Praise Breaks. Just thought I'd put that out there. Carry on.
Corey Mickey also has his own copyrights against Corey Mickey, so.
Corey Mickey gets flagged for his own content.
No, Facebook took my video down because I was playing my music. I'm like, I am he is I, him is me is him.
Look, ever since you did that, I put in my comments, I do own rights
Yes,
to
I was
this
like,
song.
but I own this. This is me.
No, for real.
Me is him.
So we have Corey Mickey, and last but not least, we have my beautiful wife, Patience St. Julian. Mompreneur. Is that a word?
Mompreneur.
Yeah, mompreneur.
That's dope.
Yeah.
She holds it down with faith, fitness, and all around everything. She'll get you straight. Oh yeah, family. Yeah, she'll get your body straight while making sure you get your kids straight.
She should only getting your body straight. Praise our God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! You see where everything goes.
So how long have you been down
Selling
this lane,
cocaine.
ma'am?
I mean, what?
Gabe says Patience, her business life is similar to the drug life because she pushes her product.
It is. It is. We're pushers.
Oh, Jesus.
Same concept, just legally.
Good job.
Well, if you want to talk about when I got started, it's been since about high school. No, let me stop.
Oh my gosh. Is there anything about extradition and hidden statute of limitations?
What we're talking about my beginning as a fetus.
When did you start your business in your lane? Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
I started last August. So August of 2019. So I'm still in the fledgling stages, of things and coming into the whole branding of everything. I think the hardest part for me definitely was incorporating the business into what brand was already there. As far as Patience St. Julian and the St. Julians, we already had a brand. So it's only been 8 months. So I'm just now getting into the swing of things. So it seems like it's been a long time coming, but I feel like I'm at a good, coasting position now, and I'm ready to just continue to go up.
Dope. So for the people who are watching.
And we have Marcus St. Julian
He tried
here.
it.
Yeah. Ministry.
Husband, father, music,
Preaching. Yeah.
preaching.
When did you get your start?
When did I meet you?
High school. High school. And we'll leave it at that.
I was going down the road of sinful ways, and then we met Corey Mickey. We've been doing gospel ever since.
Oh man.
Dang, that was 2014?
13.
Whoa.
Yeah,
It's been
2013.
7 years. Wow.
Yeah, so 2013. So my question for everyone in the room is, for the people who are watching, who are trying to figure out, do they take the step of, do I make this my full-time situation? Do I nudge this from hobby to honest work of this is what I do? What do you think can be a help for them to make that decision on, okay, am I going to create my own lane, or I'm just going to coast where I am right now?
Nah, don't do it. It's too oversaturated. Leave some more for the rest of us. So, anybody else?
Yo.
And this is what happens when you say the first thing that pops into your head.
Hello.
Anybody?
Okay. Well, I was just having this conversation with a business partner last night, and when you first start, it takes you a minute to really get into a groove, because you have to incorporate something else on top of your plate that's already full. And so my thing is, you have to prioritize what is important to you and how much you are going to engage in something. Because I don't like using the word balance, because there really isn't a way to get balance to where everything is getting the same attention. Something's going to slip at some point or time. So you have to circle back. That's why you have to continually assess. So if you're thinking about starting something, whether it be a business or if it's a hobby and you want to dedicate more time to it, really assess where you are now and where you want to be, and come up with a plan that is going to get you into that position that you want to be at. Yes, you have to continually assess, because the plan that you come up with, you're going to have to change. Point blank, period. There's principles that remain the same, but you have to continually assess what you're doing in order to get to the end goal.
Dope.
So I think it's actually kind of difficult, because there are a lot of people who create a lane for themselves. But I think the hard part about it is, maybe we can all agree, is there are some things that we're good at that we're not passionate about. And I think sometimes people can create a lane based upon what they're good at, but there's no passion.
Yeah.
And I look at passion as fuel that fuels your car.
Exactly.
If there's no passion, that car is not going anywhere. So when the rubber finally meets the road and it's time to go to that next place, because passion is not driving your car, it's just like, where you going to go? So, I mean, when you're creating a lane, I would make sure that passion is your fuel rather than it just being something that you're good at. Because eventually that skill, if you don't keep perfecting it, it will only carry you but so far.
Gotcha.
And I think sometimes with creating a lane, you got to be careful because sometimes your skill will take you to an area that your mental can't keep you.
Yeah.
So you'll be good. And so now the demand calls for something greater, but because you never kept perfecting your skill, you're only at a cap.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to create a lane, make sure that passion is the driving force with creating a lane, because it can lead to like dangerous territory if you're not passionate about it.
For sure.
I agree. And I definitely agree with what you said about myself. Because, I mean, the truth is I've seen myself as a car when in actuality I'm a train, and I took that for free.
Go back to the episode. You'll catch it. That was nice. Wow.
No, I'm saying because when I first started doing videos, it was I was jumping into the photography and videography side of weddings. And after doing it for years consistently, even though I was good at it, getting good business from it, man, I hated it.
Wow.
So just because I was good at it doesn't mean, I had a passion for it at all. Right. The passion that I have for videos is creating content that I would like to create, or just doing the editing side of it. Whereas dealing with Bridezilla's, I mean, I hated
stories.
it. Yeah, I absolutely hated it. Even though I would get consistent work, it's just I would dread, having to do it and consistently then losing the actual passion or liking that I had for videos and photos, which is why I had to take a break. Otherwise, I honestly believe I would have lost all type of liking towards it.
So it's safe to say that profit doesn't fuel passion.
It doesn't. You have to have a passion for whatever you're doing, as Corey said, in order to continue to actually like to do it. Otherwise, I mean, it's going to turn into another job, another work.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes at the beginning of creating your lane,
You ain't making
there's more investment than there is profit.
Absolutely.
And so you're looking like, I've used all this money, and people be like, just hold on, it's going to pay off. Okay, yeah, cool. My car note is due next week. Like, there's
my lights don't get paid by hope.
Yeah, and my gas tank don't run on thank you. So like, there's more investment than it is a profit. So if you're creating a lane for profit, like
it'll never last.
Never.
It'll never last, because you'll get all the money in the world you want, and you'll be lonely. You'll be bitter and angry.
Yep.
Because you've burnt so many bridges, when you do something strictly for money, and you run into so many people, especially in the entertainment industry, where it's just about the money. And then it's like you've burned all these bridges, and now nobody wants to deal with you or call on you because everything you've done has been based off of your horrible character.
Yeah. And one point I want to also acknowledge, like when we're talking about profit and having your own lane, when you create your own lane, you also create your own landscape for ups and downs.
Yeah.
And when you have your own lane and you're not really relying on anyone else, because all of us here, we can't call someone else and be like, hey, let me get a $5,000 loan as a partner in business. We're all doing something separately, even though we work together collectively with Motivate. As business owners and entrepreneurs, we're all on our own. So you don't have that wall to lean on of, let me try something outlandish and crazy. And if it fails, I'm good. You really don't have that option. And if you are, you have to plan it out, like you're saying, of, hey, if I'm going to throw the whole building at it and do this crazy concept, be prepared for it failing. Because there's a lot of times where we think something's going to go over great, and you release it and it's like, oh, that was a flop. How do you encourage the person who's dealing with more losses than wins as they create their own lane?
I think you just have to remember, I love seeing the videos of like the Oprahs and the billionaires and the actors who have this huge amount of success now. And we don't even take into account how did they get here. They had a lot more losses than they did wins, but they didn't stop. I think the biggest thing that you have to realize is passion is going to cause you to keep going regardless of what happens.
Yep.
Regardless of how much hurt or pain you're going through, no matter how difficult it gets, no matter if you struggle to pull yourself out of depression, that passion is going to say, regardless of my circumstances, regardless of what's happening around me right now, I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm going to keep going. Somebody's going to say yes, or God is going to put the right people in my path. As long as I stay diligent, I stay faithful, and I put my passion, my business, my whatever it is at the feet of God and let Him handle it, I know it's going to succeed one day. One day it's going to come around.
For sure. And it's about having a realistic timeline as well. Because, you're not going to become a millionaire in a year or potentially, whatever.
If you do, show me how.
That's what I'm saying. Let me know. You're not going to make that happen within a year because sometimes you're ahead of your curve. You're ahead of the curve. Sometimes people don't know that they need your business. They don't know that they need your talent. They don't know that they need, whatever it is that you're offering yet. But 5 years down the line, you might be in high demand. Yeah. It's just about evaluating that timeline.
Yeah.
I know for sure I had that issue, especially with Motivate, because we've been doing Motivate for going on almost 5 years. And I would get so frustrated when we first started because y'all remember the first Motivate that we actually ever did back when we were hosting worship nights. And we were putting a stage together. We were giving away free Chick-fil-A. We were giving away free Starbucks. We were doing solid teaching. We were doing solid music.
Y'all, throwing everything in.
Throwing the whole building at it. Doing video promos. And I remember the first night, it was a decent turnout, but it wasn't what it, in my mind, of what it was going to be. And I remember getting frustrated, like, what else can we do? Like, what else is there that we can do? And then we had the conversation of, okay, well, don't quit, refocus. And we shifted. Instead of hosting things, we gotten to the point of, okay, let's start building relationship. And now we're where we are now with Motivate, to where we sustain. And I remember Patience always used to say, humble beginnings. You got to know that you're starting from the ground. And like you're saying, being ahead of the curve per se. And I heard someone say it over time, of so many times we provide the solution without highlighting the problem. And if you highlight the need of, hey, your clothes, I don't know what it is. It's just not clean enough. It's like the stain always is there. Instead of saying, hey, I got a cleaning business. It's like, hey, sometimes just point out the problem a little bit, then provide and set up what your solution is. And I don't know. I feel like that comes out of relationships. And I feel like right now when people create lanes, it's like, hey, look at me. And it's like, but we don't know you.
Yeah. For every person listening, my recommendation or my input is it's going to take you 4 to 5 years to build foundation for anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because, like Marcus was saying, because I've been here since day one.
Negative days.
Oh, Lord. When it was an idea, like epic praise.
Wow.
When it was an idea, my thing is, what we've always realized is the second year, we realized the first model didn't work.
No, it didn't.
And that's okay. Yeah. Like, be willing to go back and like redo some things and revisit. And it might call for some revisions. Yeah. And be content while building your own lane that the people that start in your car may not stay in your car. Because like, you'll be like, okay, this person is great. And you realize they're really toxic to destiny. They might be a great friend. They're just a bad passenger. And wow, that's really good. That was really good.
That's really good.
It might, because I'm like, I'm talking to me. I'm like, wow, that's really good. So they could be a great friend, but that particular vision for your life, they just may not meet that qualification. So while building that lane, it's all about connections. Like, let's deal with that. Like, how did y'all deal with connections with building your lane? Like, how did y'all deal with people who started with you no longer being with you at the next level?
Who wants that one first?
Because that one's hard.
I'll take it.
I work alone.
Yeah, I'm about to say he's not really
introvert to the fullest.
I guess you said. Well, when you said you're dealing with people, you just left out that whole industry.
Wait.
You see the red?
No.
No.
He didn't mean it.
He didn't mean it.
Father, forgive him. For he knows not.
So he knows. He just don't care.
My past you.
Yeah, that part. Like, so how did you deal with that, like, disconnect?
Taking the feelings out of it.
Yes.
That was one of the first things I had to learn. Of it's not personal. They just can't help. And knowing the difference between a bystander and someone who's actually inputting. And also learning, for me personally,
right,
because someone gives you one good idea doesn't mean they need to be the source for all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would sometimes go back and like, no, that was good. What you told me, it worked.
Exactly.
And then they give you 9 bombs. And it's like, okay, maybe I'm not listening right.
Okay. 9 bombs. Like, no.
I know the concept of there's no such thing as a dumb question. That was stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, man, what if we give away $1,000 to everyone who comes to the church? Like, what? Where is it coming from?
Who's funding this?
Exactly.
So how many people disconnected and how many people did you put in a different category of your life? Like what percentage?
I usually disconnect quick.
I mean, but that's what disconnect game on fleek. Let me tell you something.
No, for real.
Once you out, bye. No,
no, this is my thing. I don't connect easily in the first place.
That's good. That's
So
good.
for me, where he was like, oh yeah, I think this is going to be great. I'm already in my mind, they're not going to work out. I'm not going to say it to him,
Right.
But in my mind, I'm already like, nah, bro, it's not going to work. Like, but because I have to let him go through his own process and he is the head, I'm going to let him go through his process. And then when we talk and it's like, well, babe, you got to look at this and look at that. You have to really take into account realistically. Everybody doesn't, this is our baby.
Yeah.
This is our baby. So where we say, oh, we have kids, we're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. Mm-hmm. Other people don't have that passion. Mm-hmm. Other people don't have that drive. They are not invested in it. So for me, off of one conversation with you or meeting with you, you know, I can gauge in getting back, I can discern how invested you are going to be.
Yeah.
And off of that, will pinpoint how I will connect with you. Because we, at one point, had a whole lot of people in this room.
It was a lot.
You know, and it's like, okay, you're on the team. You're on the team. And I'm sitting up here picking off in my mind, not going to make it. Yep. Not going to make it. Yeah. Not going to make it.
Between these two?
Like,
I don't even bring the team members to Corey. Like, if you make it to meeting Corey, it's like, all right, you're going to stick around for a little bit.
I'm just letting you know right now, because when it's over, he'll be like, all right, so what was your thoughts?
And I've been here for 4 years. I just now met Corey when we started this podcast.
He's right.
Yeah.
We played together, but I still didn't know him. I didn't know he was a gangbanger. I didn't know that he was a liar. I didn't even know he was not a virgin. Sorry, Mom.
Sorry.
I stole that from another episode.
You walked into that one.
Gotcha. Since we're stealing episode information.
He's turning the color of his hoodie.
Yeah. Yeah, since we're importing session data. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sorry, Mom. Yeah, I mean, but it is difficult. So I guess my thing is, with the whole disconnect, well, not disconnected, but not connecting easy, like, this is a very bad question, but I'm okay with asking it.
Uh-huh.
How do you... I probably should ask this.
Go ahead.
Because we have a way of making people feel like they're closer than what they really are.
Yes. That is a big problem.
Y'all are pastors. That's what pastors do.
It's a science. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But like, I can't stay here. Well, you gotta go.
that whole, hey, man, I really got to have a talk with you, man. I don't really think this is going to work. In my mind, I'm like, who can I replace him with?
I'm like, man, this is your last job. So this is your last time doing this job anyway. But I mean, with creating your own lane, like, you've got to be willing to make adjustments. Mm-hmm. Like, there was something that Bishop Jake said that was very, very powerful, is that in church, we are quick to hire and slow to fire.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Fire them.
So
it's very true.
We will keep somebody connected, and if they're doing a bad job, we'll just move them somewhere else. Like, okay, we'll take them off the front line. They're toxic. So if they're toxic on the front line, they're toxic counting the money. They're toxic running your social media.
How do you draw that line though? Because I feel like at least for you guys have to try and find the balance of, you know, not trying to discourage someone.
Right.
By moving them out of whatever position they're at. How do you find that fine line?
For me, it was easier to start doing when the conversation went from this is a lane, this is something that we've created, this isn't the church home. Like, it's different, and I blurred the lines of, oh, this is church. I'm a leader in church. I have to find something for you. It's separate when, okay, this is our entity. This is something completely separate from a church. You can't bring this down. If you're toxic, if you're not going to work, if you're not going to be consistent, God bless you. I hope you try it out at your home church. But for this, it's got a little bit easier within like the last 6 months of, I'm just going to remove them from the group chat and have a night. I mean, they know, like, I had to get like 6 people out of the team in one night. One night. I sent an apology text to the team. I apologized for what happened last night, the way that these people act and how inconsiderate they were, rude, immature. It will not be like this moving forward, but I'm not going to let anything jeopardize what it is that we've built already and what we plan on seeing in the future. And it hurt to do it. Oh, it definitely hurt, because it was like, I see the potential in these people, but you can't let potential sink you.
Yeah.
It will.
I think when you talk about in a church environment like that, in regards to the reference that Corey was saying, where instead of, just firing you, they'll just place you around. One, because like with that, you don't want to affect somebody's income. Right. And all of that. So as a pastor, you have to take that into consideration. But also, membership and staff is completely different. Your staff is your business. Mm-hmm. That is where the business side of a church ministry is run. So if you have a staff member who is toxic, who is affecting your staff and your membership, that's a problem. And you need to deal with it. At the end of the day, you're responsible for handling that person. So yes, that person may be hurt. You may have to deal with that issue too. But there is a way to do it to where the relationship can be reconciled. Because at the end of the day, it has to be a level of maturity on the other person. If to say, I'm not going to let you sink everything that we've built, everything that we've worked for, it's not just, we're not compatible. That's not a bad thing. We just have to move forward in another direction. Yeah. So, but I feel like as a leader, you have to have those difficult conversations. And if you're not willing to have those difficult conversations, you're just willing to let the ship go down.
Because at some point you got to be like, look, I'm the captain now.
So how do you guys get past? I mean, obviously with creating your own lane, there will always be obstacles that you'll need to overcome. There will always be people that will get in your way. How do you guys handle the haters? How do you go above them or around them in order to continue to create your own lane?
Yeah, because I want you to answer this.
Well, see, it's difficult. It's difficult because a lot of my peers, when I first started, laughed at me.
That's what I was going to say.
They laughed, like, because for me, they was like, oh, man, it's just praise music. They just like, like, why are you doing it? They just like laughed, like, oh, man, like he's just hollering and speaking in tongues, whatever. And so like now they're like, yo, you need me to play? Nah, I'm good, bro. Like, it's weird.
Come on, man, help me out on my record.
Yeah, like, so like now they're the same people. So for me, it was different because when I went to get on the highway and to create my lane, my original intent was, I don't care if the consumer likes it or not. I like it. So my thing is, my biggest rule is, if I don't move to my music, the consumer won't. If it doesn't move me, it's not going to move you. And so that's one of the things that I went, like, even with like people who like hate it or people who don't like it, I'm like, it's always going to be somebody that's going to be like, I don't like it.
It's no matter
what I'm saying?
Do.
Yeah, because everybody has a different taste. But my biggest thing is, it's kind of hard because based upon your lane. For music, I don't really care if the consumer likes it. Now, if you're doing like jewelry, of course the consumer has to like it. But for me, from my lane, I never, ever cared. If I'm like, okay, if you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. Somebody's going to like it. And so that's how I took it, where there is an audience for me somewhere. Yeah. It may not be where I'm from, because the city I live in doesn't support any... Next. That was a one-lane highway, man. I'll tell you that.
No, here's my thing. I think it's different of having naysayers and haters and, you've had to deal with the haters. For me, it's like you're not even a blip on the map because no one's looking for you. I feel like that's more of a mental challenge of overcoming. Like, all right, I don't have to be on your map to be able to move. You could be on a 1-lane highway in the middle of the desert. You're still moving. And I think in the beginning stages, especially with MOTIV8, it was, why aren't we in the conversation? Why aren't we in the conversation? Like, yo, we're up, like, we're ahead of the game. Like, why aren't we in the conversation? And then it was just like this come to Jesus moment. It was like, why do you want to be in the conversation?
I feel like that was a big thing too, because the type of content and the things that we were creating back then were ahead of the curve.
Like
everybody
years ahead.
And then it's like once it started to pop, everybody started doing it. It's like, bro, we were doing this.
Yeah.
Like, so I was looking at a lot of old MOTIV8 videos and different stuff that we were doing, and I was like, wow.
But
like, it's been a long time coming. Now everybody is doing it.
But then you get back to the conversation of, and I think we talked about this of episodes back, of honestly saying, if it would have popped then, would we have been able to survive that level of growth?
Yeah.
We would have failed. Yeah. I mean, flopped, bombed. We would have went down. And even if we didn't bomb numerically, we would have bombed spiritually, mentally, and altogether physically, because we were running like crazy.
I think that it was good because it was to prove to you that you were able to produce this. And I think sometimes when creating your own lane, don't forget that, you know what I'm saying, make sure you celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I'm still bad at that, because the truth is I hate everything I put out.
I'm with you on that.
I
hate my stuff.
Because the issue I have with it, I've heard it so many times that by the time the consumer hears it, they're like, oh, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm past that already. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
but that's another question I wanted to ask you. With you in your lane, and even with video, is it hard when you found a formula that seems to work? What's the challenge that you guys go through on, all right, I'm over this formula, I want to try something new? Is there ever a fear level of doing something completely different? Because I know you have music, like records, that have nothing to do with praise breaks. I know you have videos and content, your vlog style videos. I know you have devos and teachings and things you want to do, your nonprofit. What moment does it say, I've got my foot in the door for you to trust me. Now let me do me, what I really wanted to do. Because I think everyone who creates their own lane, everyone steps their toe into the water just to say, okay, no one's killed me. I'm surviving. When do you finally start revealing the original purpose?
For me, I would have to say, and I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to speak for everybody. It was somebody in this room. No lie. I think for Patience, if she had a random conversation with one of us and we pushed her, if Gabe didn't see something and you pushed him, if I hadn't had a conversation and you was like, yo, bro, do it. I think this circle, for real, is like a major influence. We are all somehow in somebody else's car in this room.
Absolutely.
And so I think that fear factor is broken when you trust the person that you placed in your car. That's now, it's hard if there's absolutely nobody, if nobody's helping you build, or you're not even bouncing ideas off anybody. That's very difficult.
And I think we talked about this, find your circle.
Yes.
Yeah. And as a person who's literally creating your own lane, you may have to find some people who can ride with you, who do nothing like you, to be able just to have an idea, really good, just to say, hey, can you listen to this song for me? I feel like you should want someone who doesn't do what you do to listen to what you're presenting, because they'll give you a more honest feedback. Because if there's someone who's on the inside deeply kind of hating your progress, they're going to throw darts at whatever you do to make sure that you don't put out what they know will hit.
Or a yes man. But like, oh, this is great. And it's like,
and put it out, and then you listen back and it's like, this trash.
No, for real.
Because, I mean, we all, like you said, everyone in this circle, we're all of our worst critics.
Yes.
And, like, I can remember putting together a teaching or a clip and send it to Gabe, and it was like, yeah, bro, that's trash. Like, don't do that. Or showing Corey a song, And Corey's like, yeah, don't you ever sing in that key again. Like, it's real. But in the beginning, I remember getting frustrated. I was like, don't nobody support me. And then finally like, oh, no, obviously they do, because if they didn't, you wouldn't have got any feedback. It would have been like, no, go ahead, do what you want to do. Like, go ahead. Like, you're fine. And then secretly been behind the scenes like, yo, that show was trash. So, I mean, I think you got to have your circle. Seek people who are consistent. You have to seek people who have a clear head. And when I say a clear head, seek someone who's clear in what they want to do. And be okay with finding an entry into the communication of building a relationship with someone. It doesn't always have to be what can you do for me to get in my circle?
Yeah, and seek somebody who is further than you. Stop getting help from people solely on your level.
Because what will end up happening is when you get someone who's either on your level or below you, you'll get on the loop of getting off of what you were tracking on because now you're helping them. And I'm not saying that you don't help people, but when your help becomes...
I don't even think it's just that. I feel like you'll get stagnant, you'll get complacent, and you'll be fine with being at the same level as that they're at.
Yeah.
You have to connect yourself with people that are ahead of you, above you, in whatever lane that you're in. Someone that you want to continue to seek as a goal, so that you never quit.
Yeah.
You always continue to consistently put out whatever it is that you want to reach whatever it is that it is.
Was it like that saying you hang out with 3 broke people, you the 4th one?
Yep.
It's the same concept.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same concept. So always have
Pointing at us for.
I'm just saying, there's 4 people in the room, Gabriel.
It's real.
So
I didn't want to say anything.
oh my
She
God.
did point at it. You sit with 3 broke people.
Like, everybody,
It's like,
3. But then she was like, you're the 4th one, not I'm the 4th one. Like, she's talking about y'all. But
First of all, we know you're not broke.
Hallelujah.
It wasn't even an argument. Hallelujah.
And praise Jesus.
I can tell you what never hits a recession. Praise.
Hello. What? They never going out of style. Go to y'all.
We don't warm up because we never cool down.
No. I mean, but how do you deal with, I mean, and I know we're going to get out of here, but how do you deal with changing that circle though? Like you said, like that is very difficult though. Because especially if it's people that started with you, or if it's people that invested, like, we are in ministry. I think that was the hardest part with Jonah.
Yeah.
Jonah was the last person thrown off the boat because he made the investment.
Yeah.
He paid to get on there.
Yes, he did.
Right. For those that don't know the story, though, let's.
Oh, I thought you was about to teach. I was like, go ahead, go get the organ, doc. Yes, sir.
No, I was queuing for some verses so I can read up on what it is that we're talking about.
Help us, Lord. Help us.
You disappointed me so bad just
I
now.
thought he was really about to teach that joke. I really did.
It was the read up on some verses so I know what we're talking about. He's like, I'm completely lost. But
Jonah, I thought you were talking about the Jonas Brothers. Like, what?
Because I remember the other episode, he was like, it's your neighborhood heathen.
That joke was good.
Yeah, no,
And
so
I live by that.
Right. It's the wink in the gut. No, so Jonah gets instructions from God. And so, theologian, I know you have your degree, so let me know if I'm saying this wrong. So he gets his instructions from God. He tries to run, like some of us do.
All of us.
Or like most of us did in this room. We already talked about it. Where,
We'll talk more about it next episode.
well, how we did in this room. And so he gets on this boat and is with these fishermen. They are headed to another area that was not on Jonah's plan.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't know.
No, Sunday school's coming back to me just a little bit.
Glory to God. And so this is when Sunday school's coming back.
Recollection.
Okay. we got to hurry up because it's going to eat.
He's the one that got swallowed by a fish.
Right. Huh? Come on.
Yeah.
My God. They taught you that before they excommunicated
See?
you? Glory to God. So anyway, only patience come. It's fine. And so he runs.
Before they excommunicated me? I'm sick of you.
So the problem is the fishermen are throwing everything else overboard. Mm-hmm. And so I think when everybody talks about this text, I don't think it's fair that everyone considers Jonah, but nobody considers the fishermen. When they were on a route that they had gone before, they were fishing, which way they were professional at. But what was so different about this storm that we can't survive what we are accustomed to? It was because of who was on their boat.
Absolutely.
And so my thing is, if you know
In
what
context,
you're doing,
that's good.
sometimes you got to consider who's on your boat, who's in your
That's it.
car.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so because Jonah paid the fare, he's the last consideration. And I think sometimes we always consider people last because of their level of investment.
Yeah.
But just because we
How
have...
long they've been here since I started this.
Thank you. And so we don't understand the concept that just because we have history doesn't mean we got future.
And outside of that, you also have to be wary of always assessing, because Judas received the same teachings as everyone else.
Yep. Stood there and still.
And soaked up every single thing, witnessed every single thing that everyone else did,
Every miracle.
and still did what he did. So I feel like you always have to pay attention to people's heart shifting, because as you're elevating, their mind may be changing about you.
Yep.
And I feel like anyone who's great at creating their own lane, all of us in this room, and it's going to sound so old school, we all learned how to play by ourselves. And when I say that, when we started out, we learned how to do this if no one else showed up. And some people have to get to that before they start building a circle, because you'll start relying on your circle to help you complete what you should be able to do by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
Because I remember we was doing our own sessions by ourselves. We was doing videos. Everyone in here can do what everyone else is doing.
the type of rigs we set up.
Oh man, we had iPads sitting on top of paint buckets because we needed a teleprompter.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
so this is for encouragement sake for the people who are watching, who are questioning in this season of waiting while we're at home, while we're separated from everyone. Decide, is this what you're really called to? Do you have a passion in this? Do you have a heart for this if you never make $1 after this first year? Find out who's on your team. Whoever's in your friend circle may not be in your business circle. And learn that you can operate in different contexts of relationships. And if you need help, if you want to ask more questions, hit us up. We're willing to help you. We're willing to talk to you. We don't know everything, but we're still getting it. We're still getting it.
I just want to say, if you are in a season, because a lot of times when you're starting something or you want to take that leap of faith, it is very, it can be very scary. And also, if you're in a season where you feel like you're isolated, which a lot of people right now feel like they're isolated, especially if they're single, they don't have kids, they live by themselves with this quarantine going on. A lot of people may feel isolated, and that can be very difficult. But I remember at one point in my life where I felt like everything was stripped away from me. Family, I didn't have any friends, and it seemed like I was very, very isolated. But in that time, God was really doing something in me. And so if you find yourself in a season like that, really dig deep, dig in to really find out what God is trying to reveal about yourself and about your future. Because usually in those times, if we're going back to Jonah, they had to throw him overboard. God had to isolate him in the belly of the fish in order for him to come to himself, in order for him to come to his senses, to say, no, this is why I've placed you on this earth. This is what you're called to do. You're going to do it one way or the other. It had to be difficult, very difficult. It was strained on God's part, on your part. It was difficult, but this is what I've called you to do. So if you find yourself in that type of season, really dig in, dig deep, and find out what God is trying to reveal about yourself and what he has for you in the next stage of your life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because even though Jonah ran away, he ran right into.
Still.
So even in his fear, he ran right into it. I mean, I think that is dope that everybody's willing to help. And so on the four corners of your screen, you can see our Instagram handles. Make sure y'all hit us up, whatever you guys need help with. I think this was great. Yeah.
I'm watching him because in his mind, he's already figuring out how he's going to edit this.
On the four corners of your screen, you can see our Instagram handles.
Annotations.
He wants you to make it pop on the screen.
It's four of us.
So I got to put Instagram handles on each corner?
One on each.
Right. It's four corners, four people, four Instagram
Oh, okay.
handles.
Yeah, you're right.
He doesn't want to put his Instagram.
I figured it out in post. I got it.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Motivate Unplugged. We hope that you subscribe, like, leave a comment. Here's something I want you to do. Here's a challenge. I want you to drop what the lane that you're creating inside the comments so we can touch and agree with you in prayer and help you out if there's anything we can. So if you're starting out that hair business, drop it in the comments. If you're starting out a surgical mask business, this is a great climate to join in.
Oh, no, you're finna get sued by 3M.
Oh, never mind. Don't jump in the comments.
Don't do it.
Don't jump in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit us up. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Before you go,
Oh, what happened?
before you leave, I want you to put your hand to the screen. Nah, I'm like, we out of here.
Oh, my God.